How you guys doing today? Today we're going to talk about traveling. I'm going to give you guys some tips and we're going to talk about mixture of pre-gaming. We're going to talk about how to bring a vape on the plane or a cart. We're going to talk about, sneaking a little bit of bud over here and there. We're going to discuss everything. But before we talk about all that, I want to talk about the basics tips of traveling, like the most important ones. All right, first things first, punctuation. This is kind of one of my biggest weaknesses as well. Well, my biggest tip in this punctuation, first of all, remember the exact time that your flight leaves and then come to the airport at least 2.5 hours earlier, even if you're TSA pre. And TSA pre, I'm going to explain that in a second, but it's because you don't know how long the line is going to be. You don't know if the security is going to give you a hard time or take a very long time to look through your stuff. If we have a little extra bottles of lotion on you, then a little extra little things like that. You just never know. All right, first things first, punctuation. This is kind of one of my biggest weaknesses as well. Well, my biggest tip in this punctuation, first of all, remember the exact time that your flight leaves and then come to the airport at least 2.5 hours earlier, even if you're TSA pre. And TSA pre, I'm going to explain that in a second, but it's because you don't know how long the line is going to be. You don't know if the security is going to give you a hard time or take a very long time to look through your stuff. If we have a little extra bottles of lotion on you, then a little extra little things like that. You just never know. TSA pre is basically pretty much hey, I'm good. All I have to do is just skip this line and then you just search me and I'm Gucci. It's like $80. It's the best investment you'll ever make if you travel a lot. If you're very bad at being punctual, definitely get a watch and get buy a series of different alarms on that watch, so that way you'll have a consistent reminder of, okay, it's about 2 hours until you have to leave, it's about an hour until you have to leave. All right, then you'll know in your mind, all right, now it's time for me to get ready to go. The second tip that I want to give you guys is check the weekly weather. It depends how long you're going to be out for. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but obviously this is something I didn't do last time when I went to LA, so I can just give it to you guys so you guys can avoid making the same mistakes I have. Go on the weather app and make sure, all right, is it going to be 50 degrees? Is it going to be 70 degrees? Is it going to be 90 degrees? You know what I mean? That way you will pack up the appropriate clothes for that trip. Number 3 is kind of a budget related. Save up to at least $1,000. If you're traveling, I don't care if you're traveling by yourself. I don't care if you're traveling with the homies. I don't care if you're just traveling with your girl. Save up for at least $1,000 for yourself. Or $1,500, $2,000. The more you save, the better, because then you'll have more spending money and more extra money in case you miss a flight or something. Then you're all right, I have an extra $100 in spending money to spend, so I can use that as insurance. But that's something you don't want to think about, is missing a flight. You don't want to think about that, because the first tip is punctuation. You need to work on that, just like I do. Number 4 is make sure that your ID and passport isn't expired. I mean, I know some IDs would last for 10 years, but just make sure every now and then that, all right, my ID, my passport, all right, bet, good. 5, make sure you pack extra underwear and socks. That's one of my mistakes that I didn't make last time when I flew out, is that I ran out of underwear and socks to wear, so I had no choice but to either wash what I had, or and pay for laundry, or go to the store and pay for extra underwear and socks. Do not fly Frontier or Spirit Airlines unless your flight is an hour or 30 minutes. Then I would say go ahead and do that, because then that's not that long. But it's because those flights are extremely horrible and you get a lot of turbulences. I remember my last experience on a cheap flight was to Las Vegas, and the minute I got out of that plane in Las Vegas, I just felt extremely nauseous. This was my first time ever in my life feeling motion sickness, and then I just threw up immediately in a trash can. Make sure you bring a portable charger with you too. This saves my ass a lot of times, because there were times that I almost was lost, that my phone battery was gonna die. I'm all right, I could have memorized my landmarks. So we're gonna talk about landmarks in a second, but you know, this thing has saved my ass because I always had extra juice for like in case I need to go back to my hotel or Airbnb, or if I want to go like across town, you know what I mean? I can just always have this on me. Always make sure you have, like, you memorize your landmark. It's kind of a bonus tip, but because like you never know if you're gonna get lost. You're like, all right, I know what, there's a KFC right there and there's a McDonald's down the street. All right, let me memorize that these two corners. Then, if in case I ever get lost, I know what this area looks like. And, or you know what I mean? Like, you want to memorize the exact area. You want to keep in mind with your surroundings. Very last tip: I would recommend to buy noise-canceling headphones, especially for like very long flights. You know, if you're like me that hates like, you know, very loud engine noises and people around you all the time and shit, and you're trying to go to sleep. Definitely noise canceling headphones help a whole lot. Now let's talk pre-gaming. If you're gonna do this, whether if it's with alcohol or, you know, smoking a lot of weed or, you know, popping pills or other drugs, I've never done that, you know what I mean, before a flight. I'm not trying to go back to that lifestyle. I just want to stick to my herbs. So what I do occasionally is make sure that the airport is not 2 hours away from your house or an hour drive away from your house. I mean, if you have no choice but to drive 2 hours, then you have no choice than to pregame in the car throughout the 2-hour drive. Because if you pregame before you go to the airport and it's a 2-hour drive, your buzz is going to be going down by the time, unless like you took edibles or like pills or whatever hard shit. I mean, I don't judge, do what you do, but I mean, I would just recommend just make sure the airport is at least 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30-minute drive from your house, so that way you still have that buzz going on and you don't get that flight anxiety. I don't get anxiety when I fly. I just get very bored. That's why I pregame, you know, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to feel bored throughout the 7 hours, 6 hours that I'm flying. I'll just rather be knocked out, you know, most of the time. So, I get this question a lot now: how to bring a vape with you on a plane. This is federally illegal if you know, smoke on the plane. I highly do not recommend doing this, but I'll give you a couple tips. You did not hear this from me. You know, buy a little smoke buddy, and if you're really gonna vape on the plane, and then you could just like, you know, and exhale in that. You could just exhale in that smoke buddy, so that way, you know, you're good. But to bring a vape, I would say put it in your carry-on bag, and, you know, they won't really look through it that much. Now, I saved the juiciest, spiciest part of the video for last. How to sneak weed with you onto the plane. This is illegal. I highly do not recommend doing this. But you did not hear this from me. You can put it inside of your deodorant thing, like take out of your deodorant and like shove however much you're gonna put in there. I think like 1/8 most can fit in there. Without struggle, you know, but you can put a good amount in there. Another thing I would do is like wrap it inside, like, you know how you have rubber bands around your underwear and socks? You can shove it in between those things and, you know, collide it together. Just make sure it doesn't smell. If you're gonna bring a cart or a vape with you, you can put it inside of like your makeup bag. If you're a lady, or if you're a guy, you can just put it inside like your lotion and your soap bottle bag or whatever, that, you know, the little thing that we put it in, you know, you just shove it in between one of those and they won't really take notice. Another thing is you can put it inside of your toothpaste thing, like along with your toothbrush. Like, you know how they have a case for it? You can just put your vape in your cart along with that and it won't really like look too suspicious. But that's all the tips I have for you guys today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot from this video and probably reminisced some of those mistakes if you had made those mistakes. You know, I'm definitely going to plan on traveling within the next 3 weeks to a month. I'll let you guys know. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat so that way you guys kind of stay updated a little bit on that and know my next move along those lines. And I'll see you guys within the next video. Peace out.